All right, fam, what a blessing it is to be here. It's been a minute since I did one of these, and I'm going to open us right up with a verse. I got a couple marked out here for us for today's conversation. I'm going to start doing these every single week. I'm going to call it my Sunday 7. We're going to try and keep it to 7 minutes. We're going to try and bring a word every single Sunday that's based on the word truth that you can apply to your life to become the man God has created you to be. So let's just start with a verse. We're in Proverbs chapter 11, verse 14. It says, "Where there is no counsel, the people fall. But in the multitude of counselors, there is safety." And this is exactly what I want to talk about today, because for the longest time, I thought I had to do it all my own. I thought that me asking for help was a sign of weakness. This was the view of manhood that I had. Every man for himself. You got to take care of business on your own. Anytime you ask for help, that makes you look weak. And there's a lot of men who feel stuck exactly where they are. And when somebody comes and asks them, "Do you need help?" they say, "No, I'm good, I'm fine, I got it." When in reality, they could use help. So not only can they not accept help, but they also can't ask for it. They can't take anything that's poured into them, nor can they go out of themselves to ask for something to be poured into them. So when they do really need help and they know it, they don't ask. They just try to figure it out themselves. And for the longest time, I believed this was the truth until I got in the Word, until I started seeing that God's most powerful men, none of them walked alone. The most powerful being Jesus. Even Jesus had his 12 disciples. Even Jesus had the Lord above. None of God's most powerful men went alone. And I'm going to talk about specifically, we're going to look in the book of Exodus, we're going to look at Moses. Moses, who did a lot on his own, but at some point he eventually needed the help of brothers. So Lord, just let this message be something that speaks into my life. Let it be something that speaks into the life of these men. Help them to know that they are that much more powerful with you and that much more powerful with brothers. Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verse 10 to 11. "Two were better than one, for great is their reward." And not only is their reward great, but when one of them falls, his brother will be there to lift him up. So, I never thought about that brother though for the longest time. And this is how my life went. I was really good in academics. I got all A's my entire career, all the way through college. I was in the honors program. I graduated with a computer science degree. I went and I worked for a corporate company in America. I was a software engineer. I was more of a hard worker than a smart guy, but I was a decently smart guy on paper, right? All A's, good job, somewhat difficult job. Went and did that. I went for Amazon. I went and worked for Amazon, made over 6 figures, hit my first 100K, I think I was 23. Had all that success. I walked on a Division I football team, all A's, honors, walk-on, corporate job, working for Amazon, 6 figures early in my career. I didn't even think I needed help. And I just realized that this was holding me back from so much. Even though I had that good job on paper, even though I was making decent money, I had a decent physique, right? A little bit above a dad bod, but it wasn't the best I could do, but it was solid. I could get a girlfriend if I wanted. I had some good homies. And I was the type of guy who was like, "I'm good, I'm fine, I got this." I never looked outside of myself for help because I felt like me asking for help almost made me exposed. It was like, now people can talk down on me. Now they know my weakness. Now they can judge me. And so I felt like I had to keep it all together myself. But when I started realizing that the truth was we're meant to be in community, right? We just talked about when I prayed, 2 is better than 1, for great is their reward. When I started to realize that there were men who have already done what I want to do, who have experience, who have wisdom that they can pour into my life, when I started realizing that, and I started investing in myself through humility, through vulnerability, through time and effort, through taking action to get other men in my circle, I started to see every single area of my life 10x. I got in the best shape of my life. I didn't just do this all myself. I've worked with 2, 3 fitness coaches. I was able to go from a corporate job at Amazon to self-employed, running my own tech firm, running my own data analytics consulting firm. I was able to go from corporate to running my own business to making over $250,000 a year to now operating my coaching business, what I still do today. And none of that would have happened without the business mentors that I've had. None of that would have happened without the $50,000 that I've invested in coaches to become who I am today. None of that would have happened with my brothers in Christ who have helped me develop and mature as a man of God, who have helped me mold into the man I needed to be to become prepared for a wife. None of that would have happened if I didn't have the accountability, the brothers to help me, to hold me accountable, to help me overcome the vices, the weed, the alcohol, the porn that I was struggling with. All right, boys, my memory card is filled up, so enemy didn't want me to tell this story about Moses, get this word out how Moses was a beast. So I'm going to jump into Moses, right? Moses, if you don't know about him, we see his story in the book of Exodus. And Moses was the dude who led the Israelites, a group of people who were enslaved to the Egyptians. He led them out of captivity, of slavery, of years of slavery. He led them out and eventually to the promised land. And he did that on his own. Moses, after they left Egypt, they were going through the desert. They got to the Red Sea, right? Pharaoh, who had enslaved the Israelites, he sent his army after the Israelites to come and capture them, bring them back to slavery. And Moses and his people, they approached the Red Sea. And there's nowhere to go. They got the Egyptian army on their tail. And Moses, with the power of God, of course, but Moses by himself, he parts the Red Seas. He brings his people through. And what happens is the entire Egyptian army ends up being drowned. They escape. They continue on their journey to the promised land. Moses did all that himself. And the reason I say he brought them out of slavery himself and he parted the Red Seas himself, sure, he had God. But I want you to understand, because I had to understand that just because you've had success in the past alone does not mean the next level that God's calling you to does not mean you will be able to achieve that level without help. Because what we see, this is going to get me to our point, what we see is, hold on. All right, so they've gone through the Red Sea, they left Egypt, they got through the Red Sea, Pharaoh's boys, his goons, they're drowned. Now what we see is, we're in chapter 17, and Moses and the people, they're about to go into a battle. They're about to go into a battle against a people known as the Amalekites. And the one who's leading the battle on the ground is the dude Joshua. Joshua is the soldier. He's the guy on the ground leading the Israelite people. And we see, let me read and then I'm going to dissect it. So let me read from chapter 17 of Exodus, verse 11 to 13 in chapter 17. And so it was when Moses held up his hand that Israelite prevailed. And when he let down his hand, Amalek prevailed. So, what's going on here? Moses went up to a top of the mountain during the battle. Joshua was on the ground with his people, with the Israelites. Moses went up to the top of the mountain. Every time he would raise his hands, the Israelites would prevail. They would be conquering. Every time he lowered his hands, the enemy, the Amalekites, they would start winning. So it says, every time he raised up his hand, the Israelites prevailed. But when he let his hand down, the Amalekites prevailed. But Moses' hands became so heavy, so they took a stone and they put it under him and he sat on it, right? Just like I'm sitting on the stool. He sat on it. So we don't see a person coming in to help him, but we do see some form of help here. But it gets better, right? It says, and then Aaron and Hur supported his hands, one on one side and the other on the other side, until his hands were going steady. His hands were up and steady until the going down of the sun. So Joshua defeated the Amalekites and his people with the edge of the sword. So we see Moses got his hands up. They're winning. He puts his hand down, the enemy starts winning. Hands up, they're winning. Hands down, the enemy starts winning. What has to happen? Even though Moses had this success by himself in the past, he needs the help of other brothers next to him. So his actual blood brother Aaron comes in, and a man who we don't even know. This is the first time we meet this dude Hur. We know nothing about this dude Hur. All we know is he helped Moses, he helped the Israelites get to this place of victory. So now he's got two brothers holding up his hands. And that's the only way they end up defeating the enemy, the Amalekites. He's got 2 brothers, one on the left, one on the right, and he's got a brother in the field leading the people to victory. And none of this would have happened if Moses hadn't humbled himself. None of this would have happened if he was like, you know what, just because I had victory in the past means I'm going to get it done again. No, he knew he needed to be open. He needed to be honest. He needed to be vulnerable. He needed to humble himself and be like, wow, I can do a lot through the strength that God has given me. But what I can do with brothers is so much greater. And this is where men separate from the boys. This is where you decide to step into your full God-given potential, or you decide to stay exactly where you are. What it comes down to is, are you going to live in your ego and live in your pride and try to do everything yourself, or are you going to put yourself in a position where you surround yourself with like-minded men, men who are hungry for God, men who are hungry for their potential, men who are going to help you fight the battles that you're fighting every single day. That's exactly where the enemy wants you. He wants you fighting alone. He wants you in your closet. He wants you facing your vices, trying to drop the weed, trying to drop the porn, trying to drop the booze. He wants you doing that alone, because that's where he can win the war of the mind. You're not telling nobody. Nobody knows about what you're going through, and you're trying to break chains that you will never break on your own. We see one more verse. We're going to use this last verse to close us. What do we got? We got Proverbs. We got Proverbs 12:15. Proverbs just completely dropping heat on why it's so important to seek wisdom, why it's so important to seek guidance. It's not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength, because I have to say, you know what? I'm going to look at myself, I'm going to be honest, I don't got it all going on. I need some help. That takes vulnerability. And then I got to go and I got to ask somebody for help, or I got to receive help. That's a position of humility. This is power. These are real characteristics of real men, right? Boys live in their pride. Boys live in their ego. Boys are afraid to look weak. Come on now. This is real strength. And look at this. Where are we? We are chapter 12 in Proverbs. Here we go. Chapter 12, verse 15. The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but he who heeds counsel is wise. So if you want to be a fool, think you got it all yourself. But if you want to be wise, if you want wisdom, heed counsel. Listen to counsel. Seek brothers. This don't mean listen to everybody, right? I actually tell my boys, I don't listen to 99% of people. But I'm telling you, the guys I listen to, I take everything they say to heart, and I make sure it's aligned with God, and I live in it every single day. And this was what I had to realize. This is what I had to do to 10x my life. This is what I had to do to step into my full potential as a man, right? You don't want to step into your full potential? Cool. Stay a boy. A boy tries to do everything his own, and you will put a massive cap on what you can do with your life. God is calling you. Once again, we go to our verse, Ecclesiastes chapter 4. I believe it's verse 10 to 11, 10 to 12. 2 is better than 1, for great is their reward. Great. The reward is awesome. Cool. Not only am I going to get a bigger reward with more people, but forget about the reward, right? The more important part is this. For if one falls, his brother will help him up. And then it goes on to say, but woe to him, watch out. To him who tries to do it alone, nobody is there to help you up. Truth is, we all got battles, we all got adversity, we all got obstacles, and every single level of life is going to bring you new battles. New levels, my pastor's been talking about it, new levels, same devils, right? You still get to new levels, you get new wins, but there still is challenges, there still is problems. And the best way to do it is to march forward with a band of brothers. So if you feel like that's something that you're missing, right? You're still stuck in the vices, you're not showing up in your maximum potential, you haven't figured out how to be consistent, how to be disciplined at the level that you know you're capable of, and you are also maybe even struggling with like sharing your emotions, asking for help. Well, that's exactly what I do with my boys. We have a safe community where, first and foremost, you and I, we build a close relationship so that I can help you. Number one, I am my boys' teammate before anybody else. That's my goal, to bring them closer to their God-given potential. And we got a community of like-minded boys sharing the same vision, running towards their God-given vision, running towards their God-given potential, trying to level up every single day, sharing their wins, sharing their obstacles, getting better together. If that's something you feel like you're interested in learning about, if we could be a good fit, we may be, we may not. What you can do, you can book a call in the bio. In the description, I got a link there. You can book a free call. We can have a conversation, hear about your goals, hear about where you want to go. If we're a good fit, that's dope. We'll run it. If not, it's all good. I'm going to point you in the right direction regardless. So remember this. God is calling you. First and foremost, depend on Him. This is not about you. Depend on Him. Lean on your brothers. You will do 10 times more. There is wisdom in counsel. There is wisdom in community. There is power. There is reward. There is victory in community. Be like Moses. Even if you've had that success on your own, know that what you can do with brothers around you is 10 times greater. What you can do with God is 10 times greater. Lean in, build that community, become a savage. Let's go. Yo, 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 yo.